We're here today with Doug Jermosic, EVP of Commercial Strategy for Unicycive Therapeutics. Welcome to the studio today, Doug.
Great to be here.
It's really a pleasure. And Doug, I know you've spent your career influencing the kidney disease and had some pretty big, significant achievements with Genzyme, one of the top drugs on the market right now. Please share a little bit about that experience with us and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, great. Genzyme was an awesome experience. Our product, Renvela, we were able to build into the leading product across the world. During that time, I had many jobs there. I started as the head of marketing, and after the Sanofi acquired Genzyme, I became head of the global renal business there. During that time, we grew Renvela to over $1 billion in worldwide sales, so it was a great success. So I have a very warm spot in my heart for Renvela. I often say that it sent my kids through college, so it's a good product. But at the end of the day, it maybe not the final answer.
Excellent. Yeah, I know you've done some great work, and you've got a new product that's in trials right now. Very near-term results expected. Maybe you could share some of the benefits of where you see Unicycive's product.
Yeah, our product, Renazorb. So I'd mentioned that the end of the story probably isn't with Renvela. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of history there. Renvela came to the market following two phosphate binders, aluminum and calcium, which both over time were shown to be unsafe, had certain toxicities that were problematic. So Renvela succeeded in the market because it came for the first time a product that had a very clean safety profile, and that was in advance. That clearly was enough to create the utilization that it's been able to enjoy clinically. But it's not a terribly potent drug, and for that reason, in order to control phosphorus effectively, you have to take a lot of these Renvela pills. And what I think we've learned over time is that pill burden is a real drag on patient compliance, which then affects outcomes. Just to give you one piece of information, there's a study that's done called the DOP study that looks at dialysis centers across the United States and measures things like serum phosphorus. And over the past 10 years, phosphorus hasn't gotten better, it's actually gotten worse. So fewer percentage of patients are controlled to the levels that guidelines say that they should be, to their target levels. And so clearly there's unmet need in this space that hasn't been addressed by the current products available. So you'd asked about Renazorb. Where does that come in? Renazorb is a potent phosphate binder that's based on lanthanum, which is known to be amongst the most potent phosphate binders that are available. And what we've been able to do at Unicycive is to take this lanthanum compound and manufacture it in smaller pills so that we are able to reduce pill burden, thereby hopefully improving patient adherence and compliance, and then ultimately improving outcomes.
Oh, very exciting. And you mentioned safety versus calcium versus aluminum, some of the prior standards of care. And I imagine this is considered a very safe opportunity, as the FDA is allowing you to test this in healthy patients right now, volunteers.
Yeah, the great news about the Renazorb development program is it's based on the FDA, what's called the 505(b)(2) pathway. This basically is taking a drug that already has a known efficacy and safety profile, or let me say it another way. This is taking a drug whose active ingredient, what FDA calls the active moiety, so it's proven already to be safe and effective, and because Renazorb contains lanthanum, which is this active moiety that was approved in a product called Fosrenol back in 2004. We're essentially able to grandfather in the efficacy and safety of Fosrenol. So all that's required is to show that Renazorb is bioequivalent to the predecessor drug Fosrenol, which creates a much more expedited path towards approval.
Assuming everything goes as planned this year, you would actually have pivotal results, correct?
That's right. We're finishing up a study that we hope to announce, the bioequivalence study we hope to announce very soon. We've stated that we expect to announce top-line results from that bioequivalence study by the end of the year, so we're not far from that.
That's very exciting, and I imagine investors would be anxiously awaiting this result. How do you plan to commercialize? What's your strategy to go to market with this potential new drug?
Yeah, great question. We've been working to understand the commercial opportunity. I've been spending the last year since I've started at Unicycive analyzing the market opportunity and understanding what the drivers are of prescribing preference. And so we've established very clearly that there's a commercial need in the market based on pill burden. We asked 100 U.S.-based nephrologists what the number one unmet need is in the management of hyperphosphatemia with phosphate binders. And this was an unaided response from these nephrologists, so not multiple choice, but off the top of their minds, 60% of them said that pill burden and better patient compliance are the things that need to be addressed in this particular space. So that was a clear validation that, of this idea that I've just put forward, that by lowering pill burden, we can improve outcomes with patients. This was validated by these 100 nephrologists. So that's just one example of the type of work that we've been doing to understand the market. In terms of how to go about capitalizing on the opportunity once the product is approved, we see kind of three parallel paths that we're thinking about for commercialization. And the reason that it's not just one path is we feel like it's important for us to retain optionality in order to preserve the value of the opportunity. So the three commercial paths that we see are, first, we could go it alone. This, I'll say, is not our preferred path necessarily, but the good news here is that the phosphate binder in the United States, the phosphate binder market in the United States is concentrated. So with a relatively small sales force, we can get to a big percentage of the prescriptions that are written for phosphate binders. So we could do it efficiently and cost effectively. Were we to, go the commercialization path on our own. We'd also look at potential contract sales organizations so that we wouldn't have to necessarily build all of that infrastructure from the ground up by ourselves. So that's the first option, but as I said, maybe not the preferred option. The other options would be to partner with one of two entities. One of them, most obvious of them, would be a biopharma company who already has a sales force, has commercial infrastructure on the ground, and they're already calling on the nephrologists who are writing prescriptions for phosphate binders. That seems like a logical and efficient way to commercialize. Of course, that requires us to find a partner, and B, to come to a deal structure that we think values the asset fairly. So that's not a given, but those are discussions that we'll be having going forward. The third option would be to partner with a dialysis company or with the dialysis companies. There are two large dialysis companies in the United States who dialyze 80% of the patients in the market. So think of that as ultra concentration, that if we could go and partner with these two dialysis companies, Fresenius and DaVita, that they could give us access to 80% of the phosphate binder market as well. So that's just another path that we believe would be open to us.
Well, quite a bit of opportunity. It's pretty short term to get these results, which is quite exciting. And I would just imagine it's a welcome change for patients that are going through dialysis, already a difficult on the body. Lots of other comorbidities, I guess medicines that they need to be maintaining on a regular basis. So.
Yeah, just to add some color to that, there was a study that was done a couple years back that looked at the pill burden for dialysis patients across the board. So not just for phosphate binders, but for all pills that they're taking. And on average, patients took 20 pills per day. And that was, some patients taking 30, 40, 50 pills per day. But the interesting thing is that half of the pills, so of those 20, half of them come from phosphate binders. So think of it this way, phosphate binders are the chief offender when it comes to pill burden for dialysis patients. And at Unicycive and with our product Renazorb, we have the potential answer to solve that issue.
And you've done it in the past, and I see you taking a very similar approach. The volume of pill burden could be tremendously influenced and improved. So this is great work, and we really appreciate everything you're doing to improve patient life, and look forward to results here in the pretty near term.
We do too.
Thanks again, Doug. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks.